What do you do if you're ripped off and don't know where to turn?
I did outline all the faults in the vehicle. He rejected all those.
A court of law backs you, but you still don't get your money.
Little did I know how long it would take to try and recover the money from him. Sorry.
It's time to call the sheriffs.
We have every right to enter the premises by force if necessary. We will be entering that building.
Sheriffs are High Court enforcement officers who recover what a court judgment says is owed.
The writ orders us to come here and seize goods to the value of this debt.
They're the experts in getting cash that's rightfully yours.
£1,323.
But fighting for the underdog isn't a job for the faint-hearted.
Come on, Sir Lawrence.
I will back that truck straight through your windscreen.
Debtors aren't pleased to see them.
They're harassing people.
Because they hate paying up.
Are you happy for me to just leave you some paperwork?
No, I'm not. Go away.
In today's programme. If you did 3 months' work, you'd expect to get paid for it. But in Yasmin Shatur's case, 12 weeks' work at a pharmacy earned her nothing.
I'm just a small fry. But I have earned this money.
Lawrence takes on a lawyer in pursuit of Yasmin's cash.
I'm asking you for the third time on front of TV, what's your boss's name?
Just phone the office.
What's his name?
Just phone the office.
The sheriffs get given the cold shoulder when they chase up a debt in Derbyshire.
Mrs. Brassington, we're putting your phone through the cat flap.
And the sheriffs are back on the trail of the builder who took an 86-year-old for over £4,000 of shoddy and unnecessary roofing work.
Don't let him escape. Get him by the tail or anything.
Hopefully there won't be no trouble. And if we need the police, we'll give them a call.
A couple needing the sheriff's help are Yasmin Shatur and her husband Al Nasir. A professional pharmacist, Yasmin was working at a local chemist in northwest London when she decided she wanted to leave and become self-employed. The company owner, Bijal Patel, convinced her to stay on for an extra month as he was winding up the business anyway. Mother of two Yasmin agreed as a favour. In the end, she stayed on for 3 extra months. But when she invoiced for payment, she got nothing, no matter how hard she chased.
He would never answer the phone. Whenever I used to phone the office, the manager would always give me an excuse. Either he's out of town, or he will pass on the message, or he's not in the office.
With her phone calls getting nowhere, Yasmin tried writing to Mr. Patel, but her letters were also ignored. Yasmin wasn't prepared to give up on the money she was owed.
I felt very strongly because I provided services and I have worked for it. And that is how I felt about it. An individual should not be able to get away with something like this. I'm just, to put it very simply, a small fry. But I have earned this money. I have worked for it. So I genuinely felt that this is not fair.
Yasmin took Green Oaks Pharmacy to the small claims court. It took 2 years to come to court, but when it finally did, Green Oaks didn't attend. The court awarded Yasmin £5,874, which she feels goes some way to vindicating the strain involved in pursuing her case.
If you count the effort, the paperwork, the stress, the interest,
Over
including
2 years.
everything, it wouldn't justify that amount. But I think we would feel justified in having seen it through and, I suppose, feeling that we did the right thing.
But since the judgment's been made, Yasmin's still not received the money she's owed. So she and Al Nasir have been forced to turn to the sheriffs.
More than the amount, I think I would be overjoyed to get the, what do you call, justice.
Tasked with getting Yasmin back her money are Sheriffs Kev McNally and Lawrence Grix.
We're on our way to Pinner at the moment, to Green Oaks Pharmacy Limited, and we're looking for £8,258 and 2 pence.
The sheriffs park up near the pharmacy and head in. But there's a problem.
I've taken either of you are the owner or the director of Pharmacare Limited.
It's soon apparent the business is now run by different people.
All right, thanks very much for your help. The company we're looking for is no longer there. The people behind there don't match the description we've got of the debtor. He's the director of the debtor company. So we'll go to the office address now that we've got.
So it's back to the van. The Green Oaks Pharmacy main office is only a few miles away. As they arrive, Lawrence spots something that could be crucial. A Range Rover Sport with the same registration number as one owned by Bijal Patel.
It's in there, isn't it?
If it belongs to Green Oaks, the sheriffs could remove and auction it to pay off the debt to Yasmin. Lawrence notes the Range Rover's details and then heads in, writ in hand.
Hello there, we're looking for Green Oaks Pharmacy Limited. You've got a Mr. Bijal Patel in any of the companies? I believe it's his Range Rover out the back.
A bemused secretary can't help Lawrence. She says there's no Green Oaks Pharmacy operating from this address. But Lawrence doesn't give up that easily. He's convinced Bijal Patel has businesses and potentially assets in the building. He makes a call to the office to find out more information on the company.
What's the status of Green Oaks?
Kev goes out to clamp the Range Rover. If the sheriffs can't get payment today, Lawrence will be looking for a walking possession order on the car. It means the Range Rover is seized, but not removed. The owner has 5 days to contest it. If not, the sheriffs can tow it away to be sold at auction to pay back Yasmin.
Seeing a clamp on the car might bring the owner down in a hurry. So we might then make contact, and at least then we can ascertain one way or the other whether it belongs to our debtor company.
But Kev's got a problem.
Hi, Kev.
Yeah, mate, this clamp doesn't fit anywhere near, mate.
No, I knew it wouldn't. I did warn you.
Oh, mate, I'll wait out here anyway.
There's nothing else for it. Kev's going to have to stay outside to keep an eye on the car, so it's not driven away. And time's ticking on.
The judgment amount when we came here was £8,258 and 2 pence. It's now more than that because we've done a HPI check and we've been here for over an hour. But a £20,000 vehicle sold at auction would more than cover that.
With 2 sheriffs on site and Lawrence making reception his own, it's not long before Green Oaks Pharmacy Limited finally shows an interest. The company lawyer gives Lawrence a call. In particular, he's concerned about Lawrence's designs on the Range Rover.
I'm trying at the moment to establish ownership of the vehicle. I've got it seized at the moment, and I'm trying to ascertain ownership of the vehicle.
With the phone call going nowhere, the lawyer decides to come down in person for a face-to-face with Lawrence.
Looking for me?
I spoke earlier on.
Who are you, sir?
Joban Putra.
The solicitor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll show you some identification, sir.
The solicitor says Green Oaks Pharmacy isn't at this address, so nor should Lawrence be.
Now you've come here, and I think if you look at the company accounts, you'll see that this is not the registered address. It's up to you and this property.
I haven't got the company accounts, have I?
Well, I suggest you do. Your company, obviously, presumably they are amicable, they know what they're doing. They should do a company search and find out where the registered address is.
What's that got to do with the company accounts?
Because obviously you need to go to the place where the company is based.
We can go to any address in England and Wales where we believe the defendant has assets.
Well, there's no assets here, as far as I know. There's a company here. I think this is harassment from you. It's not right. Sir. It is, because what you told me in the phone is that you can seize any car. Is that not what you told me?
I did. So
you can seize any car, anybody?
I can seize any vehicle if I believe it may belong to the debtor in order to ascertain ownership of the vehicle.
Fine. How do you know any car out there belongs to them?
Because that is the details of that vehicle, the registration number, I have been given by our claimant. And she's given us that as the registration number of the director of the company. So I have seized the vehicle to ascertain ownership. If it's owned by the director personally, then obviously I can't take it.
It doesn't belong to the anybody in the company.
Right, well, whoever owns that vehicle...
Sure.
Because it's, as you can appreciate, it's a vehicle, so it's in jeopardy. It's movable. Within 2 minutes of me turning my back from here, if I did a walk-in possession on it, would be driven away. I need whoever owns that vehicle to prove ownership of it.
How much time are you giving us?
Well, not very long at all. I've been here for nearly 2 hours now.
Yes.
I've been here for nearly 2 hours. Nobody actually from the company has had the courtesy to get in touch, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure they know we're here. Okay, all they've done is sent you round to try and fob me off for 7 days.
No, we're not fogging you off. All we're saying to you is that this is a judgment on which they know nothing about.
The solicitor says the company's not aware of the court order against it, and he warns the High Court enforcement officers to keep away from the Range Rover, which he says is not a company asset. But Lawrence wants to see proof of ownership.
You can't just stand up and say, I want it now.
I can.
This is harassment.
I can. No,
it
isn't harassment.
This is BBC. I tell you, this is total harassment from this company. You better take, you know, the chap's name as well, because this is total harassment
they know my
from
name
them.
very well.
Well, this is
The solicitor asked to speak to Lawrence's boss.
You've got the numbers on there.
What's your boss's name?
You've got the numbers on there.
No, I know. I've got the number. I'm asking you for the third time in front of TV. What's your boss's name?
Just phone the office.
What's his name?
Just phone the office and ask for one of the directors.
Fine. All right, I'll do that now because I think, you know, I'll get more sense out of them.
While he does that, Lawrence gets busy too.
I'm doing an additional expenses form for the cost of the HPI check I did and the waiting time.
He decides to call in the ultimate sanction to see if it'll speed things along.
Can you order me a truck, please? Yeah, it's got to take a Range Rover Sport, so it's going to need a full lift. They won't be able to tow it, just lift it. It'll need high ebbing onto the back of a truck because it's permanent four-wheel drive, isn't it?
It turns out both men are on the phone to Lawrence's office, but for very different reasons.
All right, lovely.
Lawrence has prepared the paper seizure of the Range Rover.
There you go.
It means it can't be disposed of until the ownership issue is resolved.
If you sign that now, I'll cancel the tow truck because I've ordered a tow truck now. So if you're signing that, then I'll cancel the tow truck.
Yeah, that's fine then.
Lawrence has won his battle. The solicitor signs the seizure documents.
All right, Soph, can you ask Kathy to cancel the tow truck, please?
It's taken 3 hours, but it's another mission accomplished for Lawrence.
Thank you. Sorry to be a pain.
The car is his, on paper at least, and he won't leave it there. The sheriffs will continue to chase Green Oak's assets until Yasmin's paid back, in full. David Carter is Joint Managing Director of this High Court Enforcement Office in London.
The recovery rates of the High Court Enforcement Officer are far greater than that of a County Court Bailiff. Part of the reason is that we're paid on results, we're not salaried, and the second reason is that we have greater powers than the County Court Bailiff in terms of seizure and forcing entry to various types of premises.
40 full-time enforcement officers work here. They aim to enforce writs within 24 hours of the case being assigned.
You can't actually stop me.
I can't stop you.
You can't.
Lawrence and his colleagues successfully retrieve over £2 million a month for people owed money. Over 70,000 High Court writs a year are executed by Britain's enforcement officers, who've been known as sheriffs since Saxon times.
I have a High Court writ, okay, which orders me to come here and seize goods to the value of this debt.
£6,330.
£6,300.
A High Court writ costs £60. If the sheriffs are successful, there's nothing more for the client to pay. All the costs are paid by the debtors. And if they don't manage to get money back for their client, there's only an admin fee, also of £60. But will Lawrence and Kev retrieve the funds owed to the next person needing their special kind of assistance? Graham Millward.
Come on, let's go. Come on.
Graham's had to call in the help of the sheriffs after he ran into problems buying a second-hand car. With a daughter and 2 young grandchildren, he wanted to treat them to a holiday in Devon. But to drive them there, he needed to upgrade his wheels.
Most grandparents would say that it's the most important thing in their life, really, when grandchildren come along. The idea was to get a people carrier so that we could all holiday together.
Graham went looking for a suitable vehicle at local dealerships, but any that fitted the bill were just too dear.
Somebody suggested to us, why don't we look at eBay? So we thought, yeah, we'll do that.
It wasn't long before he found a car he liked, being sold by a private trader, Jonathan Brassington in Derbyshire. It may have been over 2 hours' drive away, but the seller had good feedback, and more importantly, the car, a Kia Sedona, was bang within budget.
Exactly what we wanted. It looked as though it was a good car, good condition, had plenty of space, it had a lot of features that we've been looking for, a lot of features that other people carriers don't have, and it just seemed just the superb vehicle for what we required.
With the car ticking every box, Graham bid for it and won. Delighted, Graham told his grandchildren the holiday was on.
Eldest grandson was over the moon because he was looking forward to going on the beach with Nan and Grandad.
Not long after, Graham's son drove him to the seller's house to pick up the car. Graham paid £2,470 in cash on the day and set off in his new Kia Sedona for home. But things soon started to go wrong.
It was only about approximately 5 miles away, and I suddenly realised that the temperature gauge had gone right to the top of the gauge. So immediately pulled into a lay-by, and by this time I was panicking, obviously, and the alarm bells were going that the car had been sold, was a problem car, and that's the first thing that comes into your mind. I just don't want this vehicle, I don't want it. You know, it's obviously a problem car. I've only driven 5 miles away, and it's broken down.
Convinced he'd been sold a wrong 'un, Graham left the Kia in the lay-by and got his son to drive him back to the seller's house. Mr. Brassington wasn't there. Instead, he sent a relative to deal with Graham.
Mr. Brassington's son arrived probably 10 minutes later, and when I said that, you know, I just didn't want the vehicle, just wanted my money back, and he could collect the vehicle from the hard shoulder. His words to me was, "That's not an option. You've bought the car's yours."
Mr. Brassington's son did agree to go and look at the car in the lay-by.
When we got to the vehicle, he had a quick look at it and said, "Oh, the water's empty," which obviously it didn't take a genius to work out. He just attempted to turn the engine over and said, "Oh, well, you're lucky it's not seized." Because I have had experience before and in a similar situation, and the engine seizing, so you're very lucky. And so I said, "Oh, I'm very lucky." "Oh, right." And he said, "Well, the chance of you getting your money back is nil, so don't even think about that."
The son agreed to take the vehicle home and assess the damage. With night falling, Graham had no choice but to agree. The next day, Mr. Brassington rang Graham and offered to get quotes for fixing the car. Graham waited for them, but nothing came. He was left with no car and £2,470 out of pocket.
From that day to this day, I've not had any reply from Mr. Brassington to me. Several messages on his mobile phone, on his home phone, or from my recorded letters sent to him, you know, over a period of a couple of months.
With negotiations going nowhere, Graham had no choice but to take the matter to court. Mr. Brassington didn't contest the claim, and the court awarded in Graham's favour. The strain of going to court, however, has taken its toll on Graham.
It never leaves your mind. You lie in bed at night thinking of it constantly. You're thinking, how would I got drawn into this? Why can there be people that won't even speak to you, won't even come to some compromise?
Despite having the law on his side, Graham's still not received any payment from Mr. Brassington. With nowhere left to turn, he's been forced to hire the sheriffs. Saddling up to try and get Graham his money back are Sheriffs Lawrence and Kev. They're in the snowy north on the trail of Jonathan Brassington.
We're in Derbyshire at the moment, on our way to what looks like a residential address. One individual has sued another, and we're looking to collect £3,696.74.
Arriving at the address, they tread carefully. And at the front door, there's a reception committee waiting.
Hello there. Looking for a Mr. Jonathan Brassington?
The woman answering is Mr. Brassington's wife. She says he won't be back until the evening.
My name's Mr. Griggs, I'm an enforcement officer. I'm here today to execute a High Court writ against Mr. Brassington. Are you able to get him on the phone at all? And then I can explain it to him, and if he's happy for me to discuss it with you, then I can discuss it with you.
Mrs. Brassington wastes no time getting her husband on the phone to talk to Lawrence.
Hello there, sir. Right, my name's Mr. Griggs, I'm an enforcement officer. I'm here today to execute a High Court writ on behalf of a Graham Millward. I'm here today for the sum of £3,696.74. We've been ordered here to today to seize goods or collect payment in full.
Mr. Brassington isn't keen to pay, but admits he has seen the court papers.
When you say you sent the county court papers back, what did you send back? Right, well, unfortunately, sir, he's got judgment against you. Well, you had the paperwork from the court, didn't you? Because you returned it.
Mr. Brassington still doesn't want to pay, and now claims he doesn't know about the court award. But Lawrence isn't going to let him get away with that.
Because you've just told me you had the court papers and sent them back. Yeah, so you do know about it then, sir. We're here today to execute a High Court writ. What you need to do to prevent any further action is pay this in full today.
Still unwilling to pay up, Mr. Brassington asks to be passed back to his wife.
Right, she shut the door. I'll have to give it another knock. I don't think she wants to come to the door again, sir.
But Mrs. Brassington no longer wants to talk to Lawrence. All he wants to do is give her back her phone.
If you want to open the door, Mrs. Brassington, I'll give you your phone because your husband wants to speak to you. No. I'll try calling out to her saying, come and get your phone, but... There's somebody called Dom trying to get you on the phone, Mrs. Brassington.
Unable to get any further communication from the Brassingtons, Lawrence takes a look around the property for other assets he could seize as part of a walking possession. However, there's not much on offer.
Doesn't leave paperwork. She's obviously not going to let us in, so... I've not got no option really other than to leave paperwork. I've seized the bits I can seize, like the car.
Time for one more go at returning the phone.
Post it through the cat flap, Kev.
Don't know what you're talking about, man.
Mrs. Brassington, we're putting your phone through the cat flap.
It's through the cat flap.
With no one willing to communicate with them, there will be no payment today. But it's by no means the end of the story for the sheriffs.
There were no goods really worth seizing on the outside of the house, and we clearly weren't going to get in. Mrs. Brassington appeared to be quite panicked and just shut the door and, you know, wouldn't even speak through the door. She just... no further communication at all.
For the time being, Graham Millward will have to wait to get his money back. But he can be sure the sheriffs will be doing everything in their powers to get him what he's owed. (6 a.m) and this time Sheriff Kev is joined by Mark Newton. They are on their way to the East Midlands for an early morning rendezvous with a builder who owes an elderly lady thousands.
Yeah, we are in Northamptonshire. Come to visit Mr. Fitzgerald, who we've been to before.
The Fitzgerald case is a classic example of the sheriffs not giving up in their battle to get their clients the money they are owed. The elderly lady the sheriffs are trying to help is 86-year-old Hilda Shaw. Previously in the series, we saw how she turned to the sheriffs after paying thousands for shoddy and unnecessary building work by builder Alan Fitzgerald.
I was absolutely shattered. I was crying. I couldn't leave off because I realised, the mess I was getting into, and I couldn't say stop.
He told Hilda her roof was in a state of disrepair and asked for £4,000 to fix it. Luckily, Hilda's son Terry found out and stopped him, but not before she'd handed over the money.
I checked the guttering, and the guttering, the water was running the opposite direction. You put a spirit level on it and it ran the opposite way. You can't get the guttering wrong. Got on the phone and tried to get him off the property. Shouted down the phone, just get off the property. Get off and leave what you're doing now and get off the property. I went absolutely mental.
Alan Fitzgerald got an early morning wake-up when the sheriffs paid him a visit, with a High Court writ in tow.
Hello?
He agreed to pay Hilda back the money he owed her.
How much is it for?
£6,636.
£6,000?
Hmm. Yeah.
You sure it's me?
Yeah, Alan Fitzgerald, A to Z Builders.
Alan Fitzgerald's men didn't give the sheriffs a fond farewell.
I will back that truck straight through your windscreen.
No worries, all right.
Just go away, yeah?
Right, we're going now, George, let's go.
But they were in no position to argue with the orders of the High Court. Alan Fitzgerald paid an £800 down payment and promised £250 a week until the debt cleared.
I was very pleased. I could hardly believe it. It made me feel there was hope, where I'd felt so down as if I wasn't going to see any of my money anymore.
But since the sheriff's visit, there's been a problem with Alan Fitzgerald's payments. He stopped making them, meaning Hilda is still thousands of pounds short of the money she's owed. With interest and costs, the bill is now over £6,400. But when it comes to builders owing money to senior citizens, the sheriffs take a special interest. Mark and Kev's boss, Peter Watts, has made it his personal mission to see Hilda get back every penny she's owed.
The defendant, as you know, has already defaulted on his next payment. What we're going to do next is, regrettably, have to reattend and persuade the defendant that he's got to address the situation and refund this money.
Encouraged by Peter's resolve, Hilda's looking forward to seeing justice being done.
I do hope that if he's gone back on his word, that they really go after him again and make him demand that he should pay. Don't let him escape. Get him by the tail or anything.
And on their way to do just that are Mark and Kev. Last time, they managed to get some payment out of Mr. Fitzgerald. But how will he react to their demands for the full outstanding amount?
Hopefully he'll be okay with us. He's been all right when he's talked to me on the phone, but obviously he's not paid any money, so I think this time we need to force the issue about getting him to pay.
While they never go looking for trouble, sheriffs have to anticipate some people can react badly to their visits. Mark's put the local police on notice that he might need to call them if things kick off.
Hopefully there won't be no trouble, but just judging by last time when the people turned it up, hopefully that won't happen, but if it does, we'll have to deal with that, and if we need the police, we'll give them a call.
In Mark's job, angry debtors are an occupational hazard.
Quite a few times I've been hit, different things, I've been hit by someone with a spade once before. I've been punched countless times. It's just part of the job, unfortunately.
The sheriffs have arrived at the house. The plan? To give Alan Fitzgerald a second early morning wake-up call.
Probably come in stealth mode.
But today, there's no sign of anyone being home.
The blinds were undone last time, weren't they, as well? It's strange there's no dogs unless they're...
Mess them out with that.
Theories abound as to where Alan Fitzgerald is.
I think he is quite a heavy sleeper.
because last time it took us like 10 minutes to get an answer and the dogs were barking and everything, so...
The sheriffs park up and wait.
Oh, look, we're here, so we're not going to get anywhere quick from here, so we might as well at least wait here now. We've made the effort to come here. Wait till the sun comes up and then...
The indications are that he's away for the night.
Suddenly, a young man appears who seems to know Alan Fitzgerald. The man says the builder's gone to Hartlepool, but should be back later in the week.
He don't half look like him, doesn't he? That guy looks like... Yeah, he looks like he could be his son.
With Alan Fitzgerald away, Mark uses his powers as a High Court enforcement officer to issue a paper seizure on what assets he can see.
I'm just getting the vehicle regis, just going to list them on an inventory and then pop it through his door so he sees the 2 vehicles, just so we know that we've got something while we're here today.
The sheriff set off for home. But then, there's another twist in this case. Out of the blue, a call comes through from Alan Fitzgerald.
It is, yeah. Sorry, mate, I was just driving. No payment's been made.
Alan Fitzgerald says he offered £4,000 as final settlement by email, but never heard back from the office.
Well, I'm not there no more, so when are you back? Right, I'll speak to the office. You offered the £4,000 as a final balance. Right, OK, I'll let them know you've said that. What I would do is I'll get them to send you an email. I'll speak to the office when it opens, and I'll give you a ring back. No problem. All right, cheers, Alan. All right, bye-bye.
£4,000 is better than nothing, but it's still a long way short of the £6,400 that Alan Fitzgerald owes Hilda and the sheriffs.
Basically, what he's wanting to do is pay £4,000, and that's it.
Right, but it's obviously more than that now.
But it's more than that. The thing is, he's not hiding, is he? Don't run away.
No,
this is what's sad
he's
about
not, he's not avoiding us at all. There's no need for him to ring us in.
He's got straight on the phone, hasn't he? And sorted it. That is his son.
Yeah, is that what he said?
Yeah, he said the boys just rang me. He said, Dad, you got these people outside your house again.
Mark believes Alan Fitzgerald is serious about paying, even if he doesn't want to pay the full amount.
He's not denying the job. He said he's found out what the job's about now, and he said that it's one of the other traveller fellas, is the way he worded it, and he's willing to pay £2,000 of it, the other guy, and Alan will pay the other £2,000. That's what they're saying. I don't know the ins and outs of the job, unfortunately. All I know is that I've got a debt for £6,000 odd, £6,400, and he's only offering £4,000. So he might need to at least start paying. If he started paying, we wouldn't have been back here, I don't think, today. So we'll see if we can get to pay some money back.
There's nothing more Mark and Kev can do today. Hilda's still waiting for her money. But one thing's for sure, the sheriffs are absolutely determined she'll get the payment she's owed in good time and in full. Mr. Fitzgerald denies carrying out unnecessary work. He says he thought Hilda Shaw was happy with the job he was doing, and that the only reason it wasn't completed was because Hilda's son asked him to stop. However, he has agreed to pay Hilda in full and has since initiated payment to her. Another person who's had to call on the help of the sheriffs after buying a faulty second-hand car is Gregory Benjamin. He needs a 4x4 to help transport his disabled mother-in-law.
You all right there?
The car he used to own no longer fitted the bill.
I had a 3-door Focus before, but that wasn't big enough to get my mother-in-law, Connie, in, and her walking frame when we took her out or go shopping. So I wanted something a bit bigger. We looked around, we found what appeared to be a reputable dealer specialised in the one we liked, which was a Mitsubishi Pajero.
Keen to test drive the car, Gregory went up to the dealership to look at it.
Externally, it seemed adequate for what we were going to do. It was quite old, but the price seemed reasonable for the condition that he was claiming the vehicle was in. We took it for a test drive. It seemed to work okay when we drove around the industrial estate.
Loving the Pajero, Gregory gladly handed over £1,300 for it.
Once I bought the car, I was quite pleased with it, and it seemed just the job to fulfil the purposes that we required. It was big, it was shiny, it was a four-wheel drive. It was just what you want.
But it wasn't long before things started going wrong.
When we were driving back, the car started to smell a little bit from inside, and the temperature gauge was starting to rise quite rapidly. When I pulled over, you could clearly see there was steam coming out of it and water had ingressed into the oil coolant system.
Angry at what had happened, Gregory tried to get back in touch with the seller, Dean Rosenthal.
I rung him up and he said he'd come down and pick it up and repair it for us the next day. But he never turned up. I rung him again. He said he'd come down later in the week and he didn't. I rung him up again and asked him to come and repair it, or I would be forced to take legal action against him. He said, you can do that, but it'll take several months and you won't get your money back and you still won't get the vehicle repaired. And I inferred from that he had no intention of repairing the vehicle.
With no other avenues open to him, Gregory was forced to go through with his threat and take Mr. Rosenthal to court. His case wasn't contested by the dealer and the court awarded in Gregory's favour. But despite this, Mr. Rosenthal has continued to avoid paying. With nowhere left to turn, the only person that can help Gregory now is Sheriff Pete Spencer. He's on his way to Manchester to try and track down Mr. Rosenthal.
We're going to visit the home address, or the address that we've got at the moment. I believe some letters have been sent out there previously and they've been sent back not known at this address, but he's registered this particular address we're visiting, so hopefully he'll be there this morning.
Pete gets to the address on the writ. But the bad news is, Mr. Rosenthal isn't there. In fact, it appears he's long gone from this house.
It's empty as a property, there's nothing inside at all.
Nothing for Pete to seize here, but he's as tenacious as a sheriff gets. Pete finds a second address for Mr. Rosenthal, this time at a commercial premises. His detective work on the phone proves highly illuminating.
The guy seems to be never there. We spoke to the people next door in the next door unit and they said he's very rarely there. He's away buying and selling vehicles all the time. It's very hit and miss if he's going to be there, so hopefully today we'll get there. If he's there, brilliant. If he's not there, we'll try and get him on the phone and hopefully he'll come down.
Pete's search for the elusive Mr. Rosenthal continues, but when he arrives at the commercial address, his fears are soon realised. Dean Rosenthal's not here either. But, on the plus side, some of his property is.
This unit here, there's two roll shutters and the metal door behind us. Landlord has confirmed there is items in there.
Pete will seize the items if Dean Rosenthal doesn't pay what he owes. And the moment of truth has arrived. Pete's phone research again pays dividends. He's managed to track down the man himself.
I need to collect 333201. OK, or else I've got a locksmith on standby and police on standby to break in and seize whatever goods are inside. Yep, I know, and we've got a low loader on standby to come and collect eight vehicles plus a transporter to recover the costs.
Mr. Rosenthal doubts Pete's threats, but he's deadly serious. All sheriffs have the power to enter commercial properties using force if necessary.
I've got a warrant to break in today. That's why the police, the next person for me to ring is the police, a locksmith and the low loaders to come and get the items out, and they go off to storage for 5 days and get sold on the 5th day auction. So instead of just messing us around, just get yourself down here so we can deal with it. That's the best way to do it.
Pete's strategy seems to be working. Within minutes, Mr. Rosenthal arrives, in his own Pajero. At this point, our camera operator is asked to leave. The discussions continue behind closed doors. Within minutes, Pete emerges with a bulging envelope.
So that's the money in full collected today. Obviously there was a little bit of waiting time put on as well. And the total amount collected was £3,548.01. Payment in full. Claimant will be getting the money, so a good result.
Pete's tenacity has paid off, both for him and, more importantly, for Gregory, who can expect a four-figure sum heading his way any day soon. Since the sheriffs met with Green Oak Pharmacy's solicitor, Yasmin and Al Nasir have been informed of the walking possession agreement on the Range Rover that he signed.
Well, that's very good news. At least we have got a result. They've done what nobody else been able to do.
At least it's a beginning. Up until now, nothing had started, so at least something started. So it's the beginning.
So we shall keep on fighting.
Lawrence and Kev have revisited the Brassingtons' house in Derbyshire. They were hoping for more than the chicken feed they got last time, but once again, they failed to lay eyes on Mr. Brassington. They clamped one of the cars to see if it would draw Jonathan Brassington out, but not even that could raise him. So they served papers and left. They're currently investigating the ownership of the vehicles with a view to a third visit. And if they don't get Jonathan Brassington's attention then, they'll seize and tow any cars they can prove he owns. It's 5 weeks since Mark and Kev went to builder Alan Fitzgerald's house. Following that visit, Mr. Fitzgerald promised to arrange payment to Hilda. And now, authorised High Court Enforcement Officer Peter Watts is making a special trip to a certain lady, bearing good news.
Come in.
Thank you. But what I'm very pleased to be able to tell you is that we've actually recovered £4,678.
Oh, that's wonderful.
81 pence.
Oh dear.
Thanks to the sheriffs, Hilda has another happy memory to add to the list.
Well, Peter came along with this wonderful cheque to bring this awful situation to a close. It's absolutely wonderful.